Interviews continue for the Brett Allan Show for Marvel's Echo, now on Disney Plus. Our previous guest was Cody Lightning, who played Biscuits, and now we are talking to Danny, who plays Tuklo. This is such a good show. I just am gushing over it. I just can't get over the fact and how good it is. Thank you for your time, Danny. It's great to meet you. I'm excited to talk about this fantastic show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad you enjoyed it.
Yes, well, I have said this before. The lore, the indigenous storytelling. I mean, it's just so different than anything Marvel has done, and connecting the universe as well, giving fan service to the fans. How was this experience for you? I mean, this show has just it's exploded. It's so popular.
Yeah, I mean, it was an amazing experience, and that goes for every single part of it, from casting to getting there to meeting the crew and working with the other actors to even, it goes all the way to the red carpet, all the way to the end of it. And even now, really just getting to be a part of something that is so special in not only our Marvel universe, but the industry as a whole, I think yeah, it's just really amazing and awesome. And I'm so proud to have been given this opportunity.
Yes, I mean the fact that you have the cinematic part as far as Marvel and the Daredevil Kingpin story, which I think people were surprised initially when we found out through trailers and teasers that this was going to be the direction of the story, but also including the historical lore of the native. It's just all so all encompassing. Now it's funny. I was talking to Cody. He told me when he found out that he had booked the role, he was like, "Do I have to work out? Do I have to get bulked up?" Like, I don't know how much time you spent working with him, if at all, but he's a really funny guy and so
Yeah.
talented. And they're like, "We love you just the way you are." But he knew nothing about this. Did you know anything about this when you got the audition? Was it something completely unrelated? Yeah, I mean that's how Marvel works. Duh. I mean, come
Yeah,
on.
no, I had no idea. It was kind of just, here's this audition. You're gonna go directly through casting. My agents and managers weren't even allowed to be a part of it. Which I knew it was like, I was like, okay, well, what is this? Like, why are we so secretive right now? And then through the entire audition process, I had no idea. I got my sides and I was like, well, it said a Disney show, and I thought, this doesn't seem like Wizards of Waverly Place. Like, this doesn't seem like the
Yeah.
Disney that I know. And, you kind of
Wizards.
forget that Disney kind of owns, all these different franchises now. So I was like, but honestly, it kind of benefited me as an actress. The way I work, I kind of wasn't able to overthink anything. It was like, here's a breakdown. Here's 3 words about your character. Give us what you got. I was like, oh, perfect. I don't have to worry about anything else. I can be a human. Sounds good.
So, what did you know about your character? Because she's very significant to the story, being a direct descendant of the main character. Can you share what the break, and for people that don't know, breakdown is like something an actor gets when they get an audition. It could be very straightforward, or it could be very
Vague.
mysterious or vague, like female character who runs with, like you just don't know anything about it. So.
Yeah, it really was, female, maybe in her teens. And then it just said like clever, cunning, witty, stands very strong in herself. And I thought, okay, like that's enough. I can go off of that. Um, but I genuinely, I didn't even have an inkling that this was anything that having to do with Marvel.
Right. You didn't know that you were going to have to meet with Marvel's security team and
Nope.
sign NDA after NDA. Don't tell anybody. You'll see things on the internet, assuming what your theory is for the story. Like, it's crazy. Like, I didn't realize this, but like Marvel, the amount of fan base that they have, but also when they see you appear in a teaser or whatever, and they
Mhm.
see your character, they embodically going to start surmising how you fit into it. So you don't know much about it. What what once you kind of found out more, what was it that interested you in it? Or maybe a better thing to ask would be like, once you knew you got it, what became the most interesting or intriguing thing about the story once you began to learn about it?
Yeah, I mean, once I found out that it was Marvel and they let me know what show it was going to be and kind of where that story came from. And I was like, oh, well, great, because I watched Hawkeye. So I totally understand that. And I was so happy about Hawkeye, bringing Maya in as a deaf character, as an amputee, showing that the disabled community can do more than the stereotypes that are out there sometimes. So I was super proud to see that character in Hawkeye, and then for her to be the one getting her own show was even better. And I think that was what was most intriguing to me about the story as a whole and the script, just to see that she was such a badass. Like she just went out there and she didn't let anything stop her, anything that got in her way. It was such a clever way to fix things. Um, yeah, I mean, it was just, I was so shocked when I found out what show it was. And I was like, this is going to be, I knew from the moment I heard what show it was that this was going to be like not life changing, not only for me, but like industry changing. It was going to shift the industry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, just
Yeah.
hearing Kingpin talk and saying her name. Yes, I had was a little bit late to the party for Hawkeye, but I was told to watch it before I watched Echo. And then I was like, okay, now I get this, because then you don't find yourself wondering why he shows up at the beginning. You're like, well, this
Mhm.
is weird. But it's very cool. So, you get all this information. So you were familiar with the lore of Maya and you knew about her. Did you know about her connection with Kingpin at that point, or was that something that you learned later as you began to envelop this character? I don't know how much they tell you. I think it's so interesting.
Yeah, a lot. I can genuinely say not a lot came from Marvel directly, like from their team. It was just a lot of like, okay, I know her story in Hawkeye, and kind of going like, where does she fit into the actual comics? In the comic books, Marvel has so many, and so kind of doing that research of where does she fit in and what's the story behind that. So got to kind of dive back into comic books, and my dad loves comics, so he collected them for so long. So it was kind of nice to go like, hey, I need to find this comic and kind of research on my own on that end.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I imagine him being a comic book fan was just like the best job you could have ever gotten as an actor, and maybe validated for him finally that this is something that you're meant to be doing,
Absolutely. He
because
was
you've
like,
done
I knew
other
I had that
things
in comics.
before. I mean, obviously, but this is big. So he's probably like, oh, yeah, finally my baby is doing something
Yeah.
that, I don't know.
When I when I showed him the comic book, with my character actually in the comic book, I mean, he definitely got a little teary-eyed and tried to wipe his tears away in front of me. So it felt really
Yeah.
nice to be able to bring that home.
Now, that was what I thought was interesting about this, because your character is in the comics. Cody's character was new, so he got to create his own character, so to speak. But your character is part of the lore. Like, it's in there. We read about you, we see all these things. So you had to maybe think about things differently, I would imagine, right? As far as how you were going to play this character, from script from comic book, from script to screen.
Yeah, there was a lot of I think going through the comic book and looking and in the show you never hear me speak. And so there was a lot of like removing one sense, all your other senses are heightened. So I really had to play off that. And there's also a sense of, playing off the stillness and the intensity that can come from being so still on camera. That I think sometimes we don't get to use as much as actors. So looking at the comic books and seeing how tough and the way that the comic is even drawn, her eyebrows are always like this, and she really does just hold herself with such poise in the comics. To then try and translate that onto screen, knowing that I don't have necessarily a voice, and my voice is going to have to come through in every emotion I have. That was really kind of a nice little jump and a nice little character study as I went along the way.
Well, you are them for sure. So I was just doing a little bit of research about you. I'm interested to know, like, initially what drew you into acting.
Honestly, I started as a kid, and I think it was more just my parents trying to throw us into something so that we wouldn't, we'd be busy over the summer and wouldn't get into trouble. And then I really loved it. I loved getting to play pretend. I loved getting to kind of at a certain point, you don't know when your pretend starts and your real starts, or your pretend ends and your real starts. And getting to jump into somebody else's life and shoes, I think is just so fun, and kind of gives you a breath of fresh air every day you wake up not knowing what's going to happen, and what you're going to do. um yeah, it's so, I don't know, it's amazing. I love what I do. I can't I can't say enough good things about it. There's always tough times, but that's just how life works.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is a big project. Again, you've done other things before, but this one was massive for you. And I would imagine opened or has opened other doors for you as far as maybe if we get more of this or maybe something else later down the road. Each project teaches you something differently, uh, helps you grow as an actor and storyteller. But was there maybe something about this experience that you feel you can carry on to the next one that will help you be a better actor or a better storyteller, perhaps?
I think my section of this being kind of also a period piece really made me study and go like, okay, like nowadays we do a lot of movement with our head, and back then they didn't do those. Those mannerisms weren't around. So I think having to really study to control my mannerisms in this setting, and having to really focus on that, and like I said, focus on stillness as an actor. I think that is a lesson that I'll kind of always carry through. And I think also something else that I'll always carry is, not being afraid to speak up if I felt like something was off, or maybe I was a little nervous about something. Really getting to use my voice and having that connection with the director and the first AD and the camera, going, hey, can we move this? Or I feel like I'm going to fall, or whatever it was. Their main thing was, hey, we want you to be safe. We want you to speak up. If we see that you look a little nervous, we're going to ask you because we want you to feel good about what you're doing here. And I think that was something that, um, coming from not having done, huge projects like this, stepping onto this setting and going like, okay, should I not say anything because it is such a huge place? Them just being super open about it and feeling like, oh, I do have a voice. I can say something.
Very cool. So you get the audition, you go through a round of auditions, you get the part, you travel to Atlanta, right? Where you film
Georgia, yeah.
Georgia.
Mhm.
First day on set, what was that experience like being around all of these people and having the insurmountable pressure of this being a Marvel film? Even though your part is very important in the bigger picture of things, how much pressure did you feel? Like what's going on in your mind, Danny, going, okay, this is it. This is my time to shine as an actor.
It honestly felt like I was on a field trip, like in elementary school, and I couldn't sleep the night before, and my call time was very early, and our drive out to location was kind of 45 minutes, so I had that time to go like, okay, all your nerves gotta leave once you get out of this car, and you have 45 minutes to get rid of it. And when I got there, I had already been friends with some of the crew. So I felt very like, I'm just making something with my friends. I had time to sit down with our director, Katrina McKenzie, and discuss things with her. And we got to chat over the phone a lot. So I genuinely felt very comfortable. But stepping on set and for the first time, and being in my wardrobe, and getting whisked away to go learn how to throw my rabbit stick correctly so I didn't hit anybody, and all of that. It was so surreal, and I don't think I'll ever get over that experience of just like, wow, I'm actually doing this. Like, this is something I dreamed up in my childhood bedroom for years, and I'm actually doing it. I'm actually here. It was definitely surreal.
Yes, well, you made quite a splash too in your hometown when you got this. Now, a little birdie tells me you're a Whataburger fan, which I think is very cool. I
Yeah.
used to go to Whataburger a lot when I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. What's your go-to order? I think people want to know. Like, do you have a go-to order?
Absolutely. I have one for breakfast and for dinner
So
or
what's
lunch.
for breakfast? Because breakfast is my favorite meal.
Breakfast is a taco, a taquito, right? And I normally take out the egg and I do bacon, potato, and cheese.
Smart.
Yeah. And then I always get fries. I don't get the hash browns.
Yeah.
And then for lunch or dinner, number 5, um, uh, what is it? Lettuce, mayonnaise, pickles, and then toasted buns because it makes the cheese extra melty, and then sometimes cut in half.
Yeah. And
Large
did you,
fries with a ranch
when I
dressing.
first ever had it, I had to get used to them flipping it. The cheese is on the bottom, right? Yeah,
That's how you're supposed to, yeah, that's how you're supposed to do it.
I know, right? I know. Well, I'm a California guy and now in Colorado, but yeah, that's just, it's a normal thing. We don't have Whataburger here, but we just got In-N-Out finally. So I'm happy for that. But I do miss Whataburger, but now I'm hungry. You can tell it's lunchtime. So this is a
But
lot of fun.
I love that you say it the right way because some people who are not from Texas will go, it's what a burger.
And it's Whataburger.
It's Whataburger. There's
Yeah.
water there.
Yeah, there's definitely water there. Very cool. Well, Marvel's Echo is now streaming on Disney Plus. Be sure to check it out. Danny, congratulations on this project. The sky's the limit. Very talented and so fun to see you come and bring this character to life. And the fans love it. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited, and I hope everyone who sees it enjoys it so much and learns something from it.